So let's go ahead and start on our dip. So we're making a roasted garlic dip. How many here have had roasted garlic? Yes, okay. It's one of the joys of life. And the first time I ever tried it, many, many years ago, I think I sat and ate an entire bulb. I just sat there with crackers and the roasted garlic and just smeared it on and ate the entire bulb. It was divine. So what we have, we've roasted up our garlic ahead of time here. I'd like to pass that around so that everybody can have a chance to take a look at that. If you have a pen, whoops, I messed that up. But let me do this so you guys can take a look. If you have a pen, I'll tell you how to roast garlic. It's insanely easy. And it will impress all of your friends and your mother-in-law. So here we go. I'll just pass that around. The top of your garlic, as you can see there, you don't need to waste any of that. You could mince it and put it in the fridge for the next time you need garlic in whatever you're cooking. You're going to take off from the outside of the bulb as much of that papery exterior skin as possible. It doesn't have to be, gorgeous. And then you're going to put it inside of the foil and just do a little drizzle. I'd say maybe a teaspoon total of olive oil. And then it's in your oven at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. And check it, because sometimes the garlic is a little bit older, a little bit harder. It may take a little bit longer, but if you start checking it at 40 minutes, you should be good. So when you're using roasted garlic, let's say you're making a recipe that calls for standard garlic, and you want to use roasted garlic instead because you want that fullness of flavor, you can go ahead and double the amount of roasted garlic, because as it roasts, it becomes more mild in flavor. It's not going to have that sort of bitter garlickiness that we've all had at one time or another. So here you can be really gingerly if you want to, which I normally am not, and just squeeze it out the bottom here, clove by clove, or you can just go for it, like I do. And it comes out beautifully. I'll fish out anything that may be up there. May have fallen through. Wonderful. Okay, so we need about a half a pound or so of soft tofu. And look at that. I used up all the soft tofu, so we're going for medium tofu anyway, or firm. The only time it really matters is if you can use the firm tofu for things that call for soft tofu, but when you're doing a recipe that calls for firm tofu, you don't want to use soft, because whatever it is going to fall apart. It's not going to have the oomph to it. So this is about 12 ounces. So half pound is about 8 ounces. As you can see, it's not as important to be exact. In fact, waste not, want not. I'm going to go ahead and put all 12 ounces in. Okay, a little bit of fresh lemon juice. And you can use the sugar here if you would like. It is not necessary. I'm going to cut the sugar in half. I think it calls for a tablespoon. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of sugar, because it's just not that necessary. 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. 1, 2. And a clove of fresh garlic as well, just to bring up that garlic brightness. And a pinch of salt. Okay, so we have our tofu. It calls for a 1/4 cup of oil. Again, that's going to help to emulsify. I am using a full 1/4 cup because I added more tofu in. Lemon juice, sugar, salt, roasted garlic, and some fresh garlic. Super simple. Now, one thing to note here as this is going, this is where you can add whatever your favorite seasoning is. So, for example, you may like it plain, just like this, but I would add a tandoori spice or some sort of a curried spice to this. Whatever your favorite spice mix is, this would be great with a Caribbean jerk or, just anything that you might have at home. Anything Middle Eastern, anything South American, you could put some taco seasoning in with this, and it would be a fabulous taco seasoning dip. So we're just making it plain, but just remember when you get home, play with this, make it your own. Any questions up till now? Has anyone tried any of the more in-depth, or looked at, let's put it that way, looked at some of the more in-depth tofu recipes? You can make tofu enchiladas, you can make tofu scrambled eggs. That's a big, easy one, so super simple.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I've heard of that, but
Sure.
I don't know anything about that.
So let's play around with that. We're going to play with our food for a second, actually, because we have an extra tofu here, and I'll just take it home with me. So if you're making a tofu scramble, or if you are making, let's say, tacos with tofu instead of burger. So you open up, you're going to use a firm or an extra firm tofu because you want it to have a little bit of texture and chunk to it. Okay. The refrigerated tofu has a lot more liquid with it, so you want to drain off that liquid. The shelf-stable tofu does not. It's not necessary.
Is one better than the other?
No, not necessarily. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. So basically, and I'll just do it sort of like this. If this were your tacos, you would literally put your taco packet, your taco seasoning right inside with it, and then you just mash it, just like this. Now what you're going to see is going to look exactly like scrambled eggs. So that plain, or with just a little bit of salt, or whatever your favorite seasoning is, a touch of sriracha, whatever you'd like, this is going to be your scrambled egg. And you would literally put a little bit of oil, make sure that your oil is good and hot, because tofu will stick to your pan a little bit, unless you have a nonstick pan. But make sure your oil is good and hot, and then you would use your standard spatula and fry it up just like you would with eggs, and put it with whatever you want. You can saute onions and peppers first, and then put this with it. For a scramble, it's entirely up to you. And if this were your taco mix, then you would do the same thing in a skillet, just like you would with your burger, and then you would put it right into your tacos with your lettuce and your toppings. Any other questions?
Can you talk a little bit about pressing tofu?
Pressing tofu. Actually, I have never made tofu myself, so in pressing tofu, you're just getting a lot of that moisture out so that you have something that is much meatier, I guess, in the end, essentially. You would use, let's see, I guess you would just put it through cheesecloth, right?
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
They make tofu presses.
They do make tofu presses.
Paper towels below, above, on something that will catch the liquid, and then something heavy on top.
Right.
Like I use my cutting boards
Okay, perfect.
twice. I let it sit for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Each time change paper towels, or you could use cloth.
And again, you would use an extra firm, right?
Yeah, I like firm.
Definitely an extra firm.
And then freeze it and press it again after you thaw it.
Okay, so then it's really meaty.
Oh.
Did everybody catch that process? So basically, they're talking about pressing tofu, and you can either put it into cheesecloth and allow it to, drip out, or you were talking about putting it between paper towels, plenty of paper towels, and then something heavy on top. She uses her cutting boards on top and lets it press for about 30 minutes. She freezes it, brings it back out, and does it again after it's thawed to get all of the moisture out. And then it's really, I want to say rubbery. It's not, it's meaty. It's the texture that you want. It's texture. Right, it's really meaty. Yeah. You can slice it and fry it. Now, I've always just taken standard extra firm tofu without pressing it at all and sliced it and fry it.
I slice it first and press it sliced. So then it's ready, it's ready to go in the freezer sliced and ready to use when I pull it. I can pull out whatever.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. Any other questions? If I don't know, somebody does. We'll figure it out together. So, it is good. It is a little sweet. So you could, well, there's sugar in it. A little bit of sugar in it, yeah. But yeah, the roasted garlic does have a sweetness to it. But again, you can see how it would lend itself to whatever your seasoning was that you wanted to put in there. A jerk would be fabulous, and a curry would be fabulous, and just something really divine, and people would have no idea that they're missing. They would think that they're eating a yogurt dip, a standard yogurt dip. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you, guys.
Maybe like substituted for like a tzatziki sauce or something?
This would be perfect for tzatziki.
That would be good.
So for a tzatziki, let's think about what that would look like. You would need a little bit, you would need the firm. You would definitely need the firm because you're adding in cucumbers. And with the sodium that you're going to put in there, a little bit of salt, the cucumbers are going to release all of their liquid. And that's going to cause it to become juicier. Right. So then you would use, some people like parsley in their tzatziki. I like cilantro in my tzatziki, and a little bit of onion. And that's really pretty much it. You really wouldn't need anything else in terms of flavoring. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of onion, your herb of choice, fresh herb, and cucumber.
And this is extra firm or just firm?
I would use firm or extra firm.
Oh, either one.
Yeah, either one. So you would mix it, you would make it entirely smooth in the food processor, and then you would add your cucumbers and your cilantro after. Because you wouldn't want those to become totally smooth. Yeah, that would be delicious. Yeah. Any other suggestions with tofu? Super simple. Wonderful.